Welcome to Structured Change. In today's episode, what is asset management? In the previous episode, we took a look to understand what an asset actually is, but let's flip that over and try to understand what asset management is. Many people around the world of late consider asset management to be tied in very heavily with maintenance. Well, from a physical asset point of view, maintenance is definitely a subset of asset management, but it is not asset management itself. We also talk about the management of assets versus asset management. The management of assets, if you can picture it, is actually working in the business or touching those assets to make them operate or maintain them throughout their life cycle. Whereas asset management is working on the system that actually allows them to continue to add value through their life. Now, asset management will vary in terms of the focus of the different type of asset. For instance, if we're talking about a car, well, from the beginning, the asset will go through a design, it'll go through a build, it will be distributed, it will land on the parking lot or the dealership, someone will buy it, they will own it, they will maintain it, and then over a period of years, it will start to degrade, especially if it's not maintained, and of course, it will end up being disposed of. So that's a car example. But we also have to understand from an asset management perspective that there's certain things we need to do to preserve its value. For instance, if a car, in our example, is designed to last 20 years and we drive it within the parameters it was designed, it's likely to survive or live for that 20 years. However, if we get in that car, we start it cold, we rev its engine, we drive it fast in the cold, over bumps, etc., it's not likely to live for its expected life. The same can be said for how we maintain an asset. If there is routine maintenance, for instance, change the oil periodically, change tyres as they wear out, lubricate our seals and ball joints, etc. If those tasks are done throughout the life of the asset in alignment with how it's being used, again, the car is likely to be able to live for its full design life, 20 years in this example. But asset management has always been plagued with, there are three dimensions. Dimension 1 is cost, dimension 2 is risk, and dimension 3 is performance. So ISO, or the International Standards Organization, defines asset management as being able to achieve the desired balance of cost, risk, and performance. So you think, well, they're three words, they're rather straightforward. Well, if I've got a car, it's going to cost me to take it to a dealership to get it maintained. Do I make a decision and say to myself, well, you know what, I'm going to skip this next maintenance event or maybe defer it for a few months? Well, by doing that, you're saving on cost. There's your first consideration. However, the second consideration of asset management is risk. By missing that maintenance event or deferring maintenance, you are really increasing risk to that asset should it be able to live for its full 20 years. You actually may be causing it more damage than good. And the third dimension, performance, well, if I've serviced my car and I maintain that risk, however, I decide to drive that car well beyond its parameters, i.e. I might like to speed it or take it down the speedway, or perhaps I take that car and I hitch a caravan to it and I'm pulling excess weight, well, that will have an impact on the asset. So from an asset management perspective, and it's probably easier with a car, myself is really the asset management system. I make the decision regarding cost, risk, and performance. However, if I have a fleet of many vehicles, many buildings, or a workforce spread across the world, and they are in fact my asset, I am constantly, as the asset manager, trying to come up with the desired risk, cost, and performance against that asset. So in summary, cost, risk, and performance, asset management is working on the asset, whereas the management of assets is actually touching the assets or operating and maintaining them. That's as simple as it needs to be when we think about asset management. Again, it's not simply maintenance. Asset management is about ensuring that the value of the asset is made available to those who are stakeholders of the asset throughout the full life or expected life of the asset.